Hello students, in this set of videos we're going to look at limits. And so let's start by looking at this rational graph. So we've got 2x squared over x squared minus 9. So we of course know that that x squared minus 9 in the denominator is going to turn into x plus 3x minus 3. That leads me to know that I've got horizontal asymptotes at x equals negative 3 and x equals 3. Because my degrees are the same, I know that these are my vertical asymptotes. My horizontal asymptote is going to be the ratio of the leading coefficients, so y equals 2. And so based on this knowledge, I can create my graph. And now when we look at this graph, we can describe it in words. So as the value of x gets very large in the negative direction, so x is getting more and more negative, we can see that our y value is getting closer and closer to 2. So instead of saying as the value of x goes towards negative infinity, we can shrink that down. And so the way that we would do that is by describing it as a limit. So we would say the limit as x goes to negative infinity. That's what this part means. And now we're looking at our function. So we want to know what's happening to the y value as this happens to the x value. Well, our y value is turning into 2. All right, if we look at what's happening at a, in this case, we would say the limit as x goes towards positive infinity, and now we can either write out the whole function, or if it's been defined previously as y, or as f of x, we could also write that in this space. I'm going to write out the whole function still, 2x squared over x squared minus 9. So in this case, we want to know what's happening to our y value, what's happening to the output as the input gets closer to infinity. Well, looking at that, it's again going to approach this asymptote value of 2. Looking at what's happening as x gets closer to this negative 3 is a bit of a problem, because as x gets closer to negative 3 from the left side, my y value is getting closer to positive infinity. As I approach negative 3 from the right side, though, now my y value is approaching negative infinity. So we have to split this up, because writing it this way, as x approaches negative 3, there's two different answers. So instead, we describe approaching negative 3 from the left or the right. So if we're approaching from the right, we're coming from the positive values of x. And so we write the limit as x approaches negative 3 from the right, so from the positive side. Looking at that, if we come from the positive side, our y values are approaching negative infinity. So if I look at what's happening at b, this is the limit as x is approaching negative 3 from the left-hand side of our function. So I'm going to call that just the y. So in this case, we would approach positive infinity. At c, I'm on this side, so I'm approaching 3 from the right-hand side. My limit as x approaches 3 from the right-hand side, so I use positive 3, of my function, well, that turns into positive infinity. The limit as x approaches 3 from the left-hand side of our function is negative infinity. And that's what's happening at d.